Hello fellow gardeners, Dawn here from Seasonal Designs. Well, it is the beginning of March. We just had a big snowstorm come through last night. Temperatures this week are supposed to be around freezing with lows during the evenings of the low teens. So I have about 0 choices for live plants for these spring containers for 2 reasons. Really, number one, the temperatures are going to be so cold that nothing is going to do well in these containers. I don't care what it is. And number two, garden centers here in Wisconsin really don't get spring flowers and such in until really the end of March. But my client does not want this welcoming people to their establishment, and I can't blame them. So today we're going to remove all of this, and we are going to use some really good looking faux materials for these containers. Now these have been sitting here for a couple of days, and so they are well thawed. So it's going to be very easy for me to remove all of this. And you know, you guys know me, some of this stuff that looks really good, like these branches, I'll use these again next year in a container or some sort of arrangement. So I really reuse all of my things that still look good, if at all possible. Now, taking a look at maybe this, I probably won't use this again because it really faded quite a bit. But there's a lot of stuff in here that you can reuse year after year. So I'm just gonna get the rest of this pulled out of here and get these cleaned out really quick. I mean, look at these glittery, beautiful things. These are in great shape. We can use all of this stuff in a container next year. So I really think it's important to reuse as much of this stuff that still looks good as you can. The only thing I'm going to be probably throwing away out of this container are the dead greens. Yeah, these are coming out nice and easy because they have been sitting here to thaw really for about 4 or 5 days, and that's what they really needed. And you can see it's just coming out of here super easy, which makes this job a lot easier. Let me show you some of the things we're using today. I have these absolutely gorgeous faux boxwood trees that I have been using in containers on and off now for several years. They're made of plastic. They're very resilient. They can take rain, snow, sleet, sun. They're fantastic. I found these at a local garden center one year. Beautiful. I also have some lovely faux daffodils that I'll be using in here. And then I also have like a bucket of purples in tulips and yellows in some tulips, so we're going to use some of this as well. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to dig a hole in the containers to get these trees put in, and I have a brick that I am going to put on top of the edge of this container so that, you know, this tree is pretty tall. I mean, if we get this up here, you can kind of see how tall this is. So I'm going to sink it down a bit. But I'm also going to put a brick on top of it so I can weigh it down so that it isn't going to go anywhere should it get windy. All right, so I'm going to kind of zoom you in here. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to dig down in here so that I can bury this boxwood tree in here so that it doesn't go anywhere. Oh, and this soil is so good. I'm so happy these were sitting inside. Sometimes I do this and there's no opportunity, that the containers are so big that I can't move them inside. And then this sort of project becomes just really difficult because you're chipping away at things. The other option, of course, is to put a container inside of this container for winter, and I sometimes do that as well. But sometimes that limits what I'm able to put in here as far as greens and things for for the winter season. All right, so I think I'm actually going to go down deeper than that. So I think what I'm going to do is just move some of this soil over here and just kind of dig this out a little bit more. So let me give you a close-up. You can see just how much I have dug out of here. I dug out a round place for the plant to sit and then a square place for the brick to sit because I really want to sink that down a little bit. Now what I'm going to do, I've got the first one in. I am going to take the second one and I am going to bury it in deep here. And I'm going to take my brick, pretty big and heavy, and I'm going to stick it here on the back side of this and stick it down as far as I can. And really I'm wedging it against this boxwood, and I'm gonna just tip this until I have it straight. And you wanna make sure these are straight. And this is gonna be the front here, and make sure they're the same height. Let me just look at them from, yep, they look good. And then what I'm gonna do is I am going to just push the dirt back around this and really pack it in. So I wanna make sure I pack enough dirt in the front of this, like this, and then the rest of the soil that I put over here, I'm just gonna put back around these plants. Now obviously you need to have protection on the floor if you're doing this inside, because you can see I'm making a little bit of a mess, but I will simply be able to shake out the blanket and we should be good. So again, I'm just gonna pack this dirt in and around this plant because I really don't want it to go anywhere in a windstorm. All right, so I was playing around with this and I really like the yellow and the white, so that's what I'm going to use. I've got yellow daffodils, yellow and white daffodils, and some yellow tulips, and I think that will be really nice. So because of that brick that's in here, you kind of have to watch where you're putting it. You're limited as to where you can sink these daffodils in, but I need to sink these in far enough so that they stay in here. And in all honesty, I'm probably going to water this so that for the next couple of weeks while it's so cold, these will just really stay frozen in place. And then once we thaw, once we get our final thaw, I can always come back and replace everything in here. This filled with just a bunch of purple pansies or yellow pansies would be really pretty. We'll see what my client is interested in. I mean, this may just look good until we have to replace them with summer. So I'm really always very flexible depending on what my client wants. So I really love that, just that yellow, but I am going to add a little bit of the white and yellow because I just think it adds a nice touch here. And I'm just gonna kind of stick these in, and you know, you'll take some time, I'll take some time and just kind of play with the stems a little bit so it looks nice and full, and they kind of have, maybe some have a little bit of an arc to them. And I have two of these, so I'm just going to kind of place them symmetrically here. If I can get this one in, there we go. Hoping you can see this. I'm probably blocking your view here. And then I'm going to finish up with some of these yellow tulips. Now I also have some green grasses that I could stick in here if I wanted to, and I might grab those and see what those look like. Now I really just kind of play with this because that's kind of what you have to do until you get a look that you like. All right, this guy does not want to stay in here. There we go. This is just going to fill in along the bottom here with the little yellow tulips. And then I have to think about where this is going to sit and what's going to be seen. And this outer edge here is going to be seen because these sit against a brick building, and I'll show you these once they're outside and in their place. I think that just looks so bright. You'll see this. You will definitely see this from the road as you're driving by. Draw your eye to this establishment. I think you could even use it as a landmark. It's the one with all the bright yellow daffodils in pots in front of it. Yeah. Yellow, white, and just a touch of that lilac color. Definitely catches your eye from the road. And one more container out the back entrance where the employees come and go. Forsythia branches and some purple tulips. Really simple, really pretty.